Hey YouTube. Vamos amigos! Why are we jacked up today? Because we have a special show for you. Ronaldo, 2 goals. See! Ah! And he won one of my guys $25,000. Look at this. Boom! 25K. Cristiano, Zalai, Kai Havertz, who was unlucky to come off, Bruno Fernandes, Guerrero, Pepe, Rui Patricio, and Semedo. The 3-0 victory. Got it done for my guy Joe. Congratulations to him. I literally just got done DMing back and forth with him, so we're a little hyped up. If you want to go here, you can find my article at elitefantasy.com. Of course, my name is Duke. We've been doing these every single day of the Euros, and we're previewing Wednesday's slate on today's show. But before we do, I'm jacked up, man. I'm jacked up, and we got to have a look at today's action. Let's do that. 3-0. Thanks again to elitefantasy.com for sponsoring these. That's where all of my content is. That's where Joe got his information to then himself build his own lineup that happened to take down a field of like 10,000 and finish first place, $25,000. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Awesome job yesterday with the likes. Really appreciate that. We did beat the day before. I think we had 17 likes. That's a big task to beat. Are you up for it? That's the question. Let's talk about today, though. Hungary and Portugal, 3-0 win. And to me, this was not cut and dry. I said on yesterday's show, do not start Carvalho and Danilo Pereira next to each other. You're redundant. It's going to be a waste of one player on the field, and it could be a tough time breaking down that back 7 of Hungary. And sure enough, it was. Jota, out of form. Cost Portugal 2 or 3 goals, 2 really good chances. One where I can't blame him for taking the shot, but Ronaldo was wide open in space in the first half. And then later on, the fact that he stayed on for as long as he did, borderline fireable offense. But look at this. Look at this. It's just class. And then Jota, 6.4 as far as Sofas goes. 2 CDMs were redundant. The manager, I think, got it wrong from the start anyway. Not only 2 CDMs, but I think Jota was an issue. He pulled Bernardo Silva off when he was really the only one that was dropping deep and giving Portugal options and different looks and trying to find those gaps. Bruno Fernandes, I thought, had a pretty good game, a little bit on the periphery. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. You just saw it. Cristiano with 2 late goals, including the penalty, which I thought was a penalty. Everyone relax. You know, I've only had, I think, 3 penalties the entire tournament so far through the first round of play. So let's get some more damn goals on the board here. And then, obviously, beautiful finish to finish things off. Him and Rafa Silva combining there on the right side of the box for a nice goal there. So, by the way, we hit our Portugal -1, -1.5 yesterday. If you were a member over at EliteSportsBetting.com, you also got Cristiano to score and Portugal to get the first corner kick of the game. So we went 3-0 plus 3.15 units over there. And what we didn't bet was the France game, which yesterday I talked about both teams scoring over 2.5. And then team news came out, and it wasn't really too different from what I expected, but Adrian Rabiot slides in there. And for whatever reason, I thought Tolisso gave him a little bit more going forward. Just had an odd feeling about it. Didn't put anything in the bet pack, so we abandoned the plays we talked about here on the YouTube video. Interesting matchup. And to be honest, tactically, I got it wrong. I got to admit. I thought France would have more of the ball. I thought they'd be a bit more progressive. And this was really a C-plus effort, we'll call it, from France. And they dismantled Germany, in truth. How many good chances did Germany have? I can think of Gundogan had the kind of half chance where Pogba was challenging and he put it wide. I mean, how many big saves did Lloris make? 0? I guess Gnabry had the chance that he hit into the ground and then over the goal. That was a decent chance there. But far too much of Gosens on the left side. Kimmich was underused. And most importantly, Gundogan and Cruz were sitting way too deep. The problem with that is when you sit so deep, I probably should have set this up on the tactics board, But when you sit this deep, let's say it's like right here around this area, basically where Havertz and Muller are stationed here, you got to either have ball playing center backs on either side of Hummels or guys who will progress into the attack. Because essentially what happened was you had 5 guys sitting back here with no pressure. I mean, there was very, very light pressure from these 3, and Griezmann did a lot more defending than I thought he would. But very, very light pressure from these 3, and then these guys weren't pushing far enough into this attacking area. So really what they were limited to was Gosens down the left side, which they really were, France, were willing to give. He's a decent player going forward, but he's not Kimmich. He's not Cruz on the ball. And Havertz, Gnabry, and Muller just could not really combine because they dropped so deep, because they clogged up the middle, and because of a guy named N'Golo Kante, which the 6.8 rating to me was harsh. Pogba, absolutely brilliant. We talked about that yesterday as well, and how Kante just releases him to do whatever the hell he wants. The ball he played in to Hernandez, I think, was to Mbappe, ended up working out. And then, of course, the own goal from Mats Hummels was the only goal of the game. So I'm thankful that I dropped off the bets we talked about on the YouTube page. Finished today 3-0. We got 3 big games coming up on Wednesday, which we'll get to right now. Before we do that, let's just take a look at the shots. This is via infogol.net. This is France attacking options here. I see 1 really good chance and then 3 kind of peripheral chances. In Germany, this is the Gnabry shot, I believe. And then maybe even Gosens on the back post here would be the other chance, but more chances from Germany. Look, France had 2 goals called back. This was their C effort. They're very capable of going forward, possessing the ball. I still think they're by far the favorites to win this tournament. And starting off with 3 points, it's really hard to knock what Deschamps did with the team. Brilliant performance from France, but I still expect more moving forward. So what do we have on the docket here today? Well, we got Finland and Russia starting things off. From an odd standpoint, Russia, remember, the game's in St. Petersburg, minus 145 favorites. The 2.5 total has actually been added. It's been juiced up a little bit since I loaded this up. What are we going to get from either teams? Obviously, Finland had the emotional drain of playing Denmark with Eriksen going down and then having to come back out and play the game. They had, how many shots do you think they had? 1. Their only shot was their goal. They had no other shots the entire game. They also have to travel 1,000 miles from Copenhagen to St. Petersburg for this game on just a couple days rest. Emotionally, it's going to take a big toll on this Finnish team. And really, they're playing with house money. They got their 3 points to get things started off. And so you got to be wondering what their mindset is heading into this game. I don't anticipate them abandoning this back 5. Urinen was brilliant, I thought, against Denmark. Midfield was okay. Lod wasn't on the ball a whole hell of a lot, but let's be honest, that's Denmark's game plan, was to keep possession and swing it to and from. Back 3 was fine in front of Radecki, but let's not forget, Højbjerg missed a penalty in that game. This absolutely should have been a Denmark win. So I think people are going to overrate Finland, and I'm actually surprised that the line's not a little bit longer than it is. And I think Russia minus 145 is a decent value, but I'm just going to take them -1. This could be an easy double-digit goal game because what Denmark lacked in the middle there with Poulsen more on the outside, it was a real target forward to play through. I thought Cornelius was probably a better option for Denmark up front. Vind just wasn't getting it done. Braithwaite was too far outright, and even when Cornelius came in, Eriksen at that point was out of the game, and they really struggled to get service in the box. Also, this was a bit unneeded. Delaney and Højbjerg, a couple more holding center midfielders. And Jensen was impressive once he came on for Eriksen, but they need another ball player up front there to get things done for Denmark moving forward. But as far as Finland goes, you know what Russia has? It's a big-ass target forward named Zuba, who's not fast, doesn't have the best cardio and fitness, but he can stand in the middle of the box and take up 2-3 defenders, and when a ball's played in, poof, get a head on it and get a goal. And so I think between Golovin, Moranchuk, and Zuba, as well as Fernandez off the right side, there's going to be plenty of chances on the docket here for Russia. And I like Russia -1 at +125. If you just want to say, look, all I need is a 1-goal victory, that's all I want to do, feel free to pay the juice and take Russia -145. I have confidence in the multi-goal game. Not only that, but what's Finland going to mount on the attack? A 0-0 game basically gets them to the next round. They'd be on 4 points in group play, and I don't believe anyone with 4 points has ever failed to advance. And so that's the route they're going to take. Plus 450. I know they're listed as the home team here, but Russia gets it done. Now let's talk about Turkey versus Wales. Could see some rotation here, obviously, in game 2 of group play. I do like seeing him in this projected starting lineup. Yilmaz up top. Demiral and Söyüncü got to figure some things out because they were not on the same page against Italy. Now look, it's Italy. Insigne, Berardi, Immobile were decent to good in the game. Spinazzola was getting forward. Florenzi was taken off at half, which I thought was interesting. But they were sitting so deep. It was not Turkey-like. I know they like to defend first, but they were setting up their line on the top of the box. And their Yilmaz, it was basically as it's pictured here, maybe even a little bit deeper. It was really, really weird tactically from Turkey. And Italy, I don't know if it was the pressure, the weight of the game, the home crowd in Rome, or what was going on, but they weren't themselves in the first half. Second half, much more expression, a lot more creativity, and better chances there. And if we look at the heat maps here, I mean, it's pretty obvious what was going on here. Italy progressing there, especially in the second half, working a lot through Berardi off their right side, who was cutting in, taking shots, finding Insigne on the back post. Both of the wingers actually took 5 and 4 shots, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back here to the match center. 5 and 4 on the dot, and Immobile was 6 shots. So just unbelievable production from up here. But it's because they sat so deep. And it could have just been a situation where they're trying to limit the damage in a group where maybe they have a chance in their next 2 games, as they have here with Wales, and then they'll have in the last game with Switzerland. But really, really odd tactical game plan from Turkey. So I expect them to be a bit more progressive in this game. Now, how about Wales? You see they played Switzerland, tied 1-1. Really good result for them, sitting on 1 point, still probably needing a win from one of their last 2 games. Considering they play Italy last, this is probably their best shot here against Turkey. Basically invisible from Gareth Bale. Ramsey doing too much defending against Switzerland, wasn't really able to get forward. Dan James was effective, and Davies at left back I thought had a good game as well. This is where a lot of their attack came from, and which is odd because I think Mbambu is the better defender than Rodriguez. But Xhaka, Freuler, not great. Shaqiri, the man I highlighted in the video preview, had a hell of a game, picked up the assist. And Breel Embolo was a revelation for this Swiss team. Seferovic is a little bit getting long in the tooth here. And I honestly thought Gavranovic was their best forward coming into the tournament, the hottest forward, scoring goals. The combination of Gavranovic and Embolo, I think, is going to cause some issues for this Italy back line. But we'll get to that here in just a second. To Wales, Kiefer Moore, good target forward. Dan James, good in behind. I think they're going to be able to exploit this Turkey back line as they press forward. I like, from a Wales perspective, that Davies on under. Mifam and Rodon are a couple big forwards who hopefully be able to handle Yilmaz. But at the end of the day, both these teams need a result. Turkey sitting on 0 points, Wales needing a win, and then playing Italy next. I think this is going to be a wild game, potentially the highest scoring game on the slate for tomorrow. I'm taking over 2 goals here at -110. Again, if we get to 2 goals, we get our money back. Bale was invisible, and he is going to have to put this team on his back. I expect a much better performance from him. Çalhanoğlu was limited because of how much defending he was going to do. I think people haven't seen the best of him yet. Under is an improvement on the right wing. Yilmaz is yet to be given service to do the damage. Ramsey's going to be pushing further forward with Allen and Morel here. There's just a lot of attacking options for these 2 teams. And I really thought Demiral and Söyüncü would be the strength of this Turkey team, but they were not on the same page there. Moore will be an absolute problem for them if they don't get things sorted out. So I like goals to be scored in this game. I'm taking over 2. I did look at some other props as well. If I find those, I'll put them in the bet pack over at EliteSportsBetting.com. But I think this could be the sneaky highest scoring game of the day. Now, how about our last game? Italy versus Switzerland. Most people thought, including myself, this was going to be the game to determine first place, with the Swiss dropping 2 points against Wales. Perhaps Italy has it in the bag, but a loss here really throws this group into disarray. Italy in their standard 4-3-3, Switzerland in their 3-4-1-2. I do think we see some rotation here in the midfielder. I liked what I saw from Zakaria, who came on in the second half. No reason to change this back five. Pretty solid defensively, and I have Severovic listed there. I would go with Gravanovic, honestly. I think Embolo's pace is going to cause problems for the combined 70-something-year-old center backs here. And if they can have Gravanovic, who, again, was offside time and time again, but always playing on that back shoulder of the defender, I think that forces them to push the line back a little bit, which then creates less compactness defensively when they do turn the ball over. Again, Shaqiri could be effective in this little space here, but Jorginho may have to do a little bit more defending than he was tasked with in their first match against Turkey. I think Italy was a little surprised with how Turkey was sitting so deep, to be honest. We should see Verratti back in the lineup here after missing the first game. We could see Chiesa on the right wing for Berardi, but he played so well, I'd expect him to keep his place unless it's a fitness issue, considering we still have one more game in group play and likely on to the knockout stages there. I like Immobile and Insigne and Berardi. That's my front three. If we look at the heat map here, for Italy, we see they're attacking mostly down that right side through Berardi. If Chiesa does come into the side, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. We start looking at the left side here. Again, I think Mbabu is the better defender between he and Rodriguez. Akanji is athletic, long, pretty heady player as well, and Zakaria is likely going to be brought in to kind of handle that area there. Schär, Eveldi I like Akanji better than Eveldi as far as defending. Eveldi better going forward. Schär is just solid in the middle. Xhaka certainly a CDM, and Zakaria more box-to-box. But these three here are going to have a tough task with Berardi and Verratti, and then Lorenzo, whoever starts the right back coming through. On the left side, Spinazzola, I don't expect him to get as forward as much, and Insigne maybe comes inside to create even number situations in here. But again, we got to go back to this heat map with Switzerland. Like, come on, guys. Let's get some progression into here. I know that we're defending a little bit, but this is far too much action for Akanji and Freuler, who was playing there at that point, and not enough to Rodriguez. Like, look at this. This is Mbabu up the right side, who had a good game. And look, here's the other thing we got to talk about. If I know these things, good Lord, let's hope the opposing coach knows these things. So when I say, like, they should attack here, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to. That's just where the biggest weakness in the defense is. And I would expect these coaches who are world-class to be able to figure that out themselves and have a game plan. We saw it a little bit today with France. Clearly, Kimmich is the danger man off that right side. Let Gosens have a go, right? Like, let's shade our defense that way and create Rabiot and Hernandez, let them kind of shut that down, and then let's give them some space maybe on the other side. Let Pogba run free. Griezmann can defend a little bit, but let's make them attack down the left-hand side. Perhaps we see a little bit of that from Italy in this match here with Switzerland. But I would still expect these three to be the danger men. And Verratti gives you a little bit more going forward than Locatelli did, but he's really him and Jorginho are just going to be just get the ball, pass the ball. Get the ball, pass the ball. And I expect to see a really good performance from Italy. So what do we bet? Nothing. I have no bets for you on this game at the moment. We'll see what happens with team news. Tempted to throw a little bit on Italy in the first half. You got to remember, the amount of 0-0 halftime scores is an anomaly. We typically don't have that many. I'm not saying regression to the mean here, but especially as we get further in the tournament and people are needing results, I think we're going to see play open up a little bit earlier, like we have been seeing in the second half, happen more in the first half. So I'd lean Italy in the first half at plus 130, another plus money bet here, but not necessarily sure it's going to go in the bet pack over at elitesportsbetting.com. So there you go. 3 games. We have, to recap, Russia -1 at plus 125. Over 2 goals in the Turkey-Wales. I think that could be the sneaky highest scoring game of the slate. That's -110. And then borderline Italy 1.5, winning the first half at plus 130. Tons of DFS options today. Again, shout out to my boy Joe for winning $25,000. Hopefully he sees this and enjoys the show. I am Duke. You can follow me on Twitter at DukeDFS. If you've made it this far in the video, please throw a like on it. I appreciate you guys checking it out. We'll be back tomorrow for Elite Fantasy. We'll see you later.